The school was no longer a place of learning, but a place of torment. A place where she felt like she was being slowly erased. In the school, Tola hoped that Vanessa and her friends would leave her alone. Classes went on without Vanessa noticing her, she thought. Never knew Vanessa was waiting for her. And her friends cornered Tola in the school bathroom. They poured a bottle of ink over her head, ruining her uniform and her neat braids. Maybe this would make you look more like a city girl. Tola tried to wipe the ink from her eyes. They pushed her into a dirty water on the floor. This is where you belong, Vanessa said. You don't belong here with us. Bamidele was born in a small, quiet village of Iyeri. The village was a peaceful place with its red clay roads, simple mud brick houses, palm trees swaying gently in the wind. Life in Iyeri was simple but tough. Families in the village worked hard to make ends meet. Bamidele's family was no exception. Even as a child, Bamidele knew that life in Iyeri wasn't the life he wanted for himself. His mind was filled with dreams and something bigger, something better. He would often sit under the large trees by the village square, listening to the stories of travelers who passed through. They spoke of the city with its towering buildings, bustling streets, and countless opportunities. To Bamidele, the city sounded like a world of endless possibilities, a place where hard work could turn dreams into reality. As he grew older, Bamidele's dreams of the city never faded. They only grew stronger. He wanted a life where his family wouldn't have to struggle like he did growing up. When Bamidele fell in love with Ronke, a girl he had known since childhood, they often spoke of their hopes for the future. Ronke shared his dreams and together planned a life far beyond the small confines of Iyeri. After they married, they were blessed with a beautiful daughter, Tola, who quickly became the light of their lives. With Tola's arrival, Bamidele's determination to provide a better life for his family grew even stronger. He promised himself that he would do whatever it took to get them a bright future, free from the struggles of the village. And so, when Tola was just a toddler, Bamidele made the difficult decision to leave Iyeri and move to the city alone. He knew it would be hard to leave Ronke and Tola behind, but he needed to pave the way for a new life. His plan was simple: work hard, save money, and bring his family to join him once he had established himself in the city. The day he said goodbye to his family was one of the hardest days of his life. Ronke held Tola in her arms as they waved him off, tears in their eyes. But Bamidele promised them that he would come back for them soon. When he got to the city, it was overwhelming at first, but Bamidele was determined to succeed. He took on any job he could find, cleaning offices, selling goods in the market, even working as a security guard. Each day was a struggle, but Bamidele never gave up. He had a goal, and nothing was going to stop him. After several years of hard work, his perseverance paid off. Bamidele secured a stable job at a company. It wasn't a high-paying position, but it was steady. He knew it was a step in the right direction. Soon, he had saved enough money to bring Ronke and Tola to the city. The day Ronke and Tola arrived in the city was one of the happiest days of Bamidele's life. They moved into a small but comfortable house in a quiet neighborhood. The house had electricity, running water, and even a small garden where Tola could play. For Bamidele, this was the start of the new life he had always dreamed of. Tola quickly adapted to life in the city. She was a bright, curious girl with a big heart. She loved to explore the city, ask questions about everything around her, and learn new things. Bamidele and Ronke were so proud of their daughter and wanted the best for her. They enrolled her in one of the best private schools in the city, hoping that a good education would open doors for her in the future. However, what they didn't know was that Tola's new school, though prestigious, had a dark side. Many of the students came from very wealthy families, and they quickly noticed that Tola didn't quite fit in. Her neat, simple clothes, her soft village accent, and the traditional meals her mother packed for her lunch made her stand out from the other children who wore designer clothes and ate modern, trendy lunches. At first, the teasing was subtle. A few whispers behind her back, giggles and comments about her food or accent. But as the days went by, things escalated. The leader of the bullying was a girl named Vanessa. Vanessa came from a wealthy family, and she had a group of friends who followed her every move. She was popular, confident, and loved to show off her expensive things. Vanessa immediately zeroed in on Tola, sensing her quietness and simplicity as a weakness. Vanessa and her friends would surround Tola in the hallways, making remarks. Did you even get into this school? You don't belong here with us. Tola tried her best to ignore them, but the words stung. Soon, the bullying became more intense. They began stealing her belongings, her school books. They spread nasty rumors about her, telling other students that she was dirty, that she comes from the slums, and she ate village food. One day, as Tola stepped out to use the restroom, Vanessa commanded one of the girls to apply balm on Tola's chair. Tola came back and sat on the chair unknown to her. Few minutes later, she started feeling unease under her skirts. She tried hard to suppress it so that the other girls wouldn't laugh at her. She was calm, but her eyes caught up with the other girls who were looking at her with a cunning smile on their faces. She stood up immediately in anger and stepped out. While on the walkway, she cried bitterly and questioned why it must always be her. As she walked aimlessly, Tola found herself at the edge of the neighborhood. An old abandoned warehouse stood. The warehouse had broken windows and dusty floors, and it looked like no one had been in there for years. Inside, Tola noticed a rope hanging from the roof. She stared at the rope, her mind clouded with despair. For a moment, a dark thought crossed her mind. Maybe if she used the rope, all the pain would end. Maybe then, Vanessa and her friends would stop tormenting her. Maybe she wouldn't have to face the bullying anymore. Tola reached out to touch the rope, her small hands trembling. But as she stood there, tears rolled down her cheeks. Memories of her parents flooded her mind. She remembered how her mother always kissed her goodnight, how her father worked so hard to bring them to the city, and how much they both loved her. Tola let go of the rope. She couldn't do this to them. She wiped her tears and hurried out of the warehouse, trying to push the dark thoughts away. That weekend, Bamidele was away on a business trip, and Ronke was busy with household chores. Tola kept to herself, barely speaking. She spent most of her time in her room, thinking about the rope and the terrible thoughts that had crossed her mind. She didn't know how to escape the bullying, but the image of the rope in the warehouse stayed with her. Ronke noticed that something was off, but when she asked Tola if she was alright, Tola simply nodded and said everything was fine. Ronke didn't press further, thinking that maybe Tola was just adjusting to school. Inside, Tola's heart was heavy with sadness, and she couldn't shake the feeling of hopelessness. When Monday morning came, Tola's heart was heavy as she dressed for school. She walked slowly, her steps dragging as if each one took a piece of her soul. The school was no longer a place of learning, but a place of torment. A place where she felt like she was being slowly erased. In the school, Tola hoped that Vanessa and her friends would leave her alone. Classes went on without Vanessa noticing her, she thought. Never knew Vanessa was waiting for her. And her friends cornered Tola in the school bathroom. They poured a bottle of ink over her head, ruining her uniform and her neat braids. Maybe this would make you look more like a city girl. Tola tried to wipe the ink from her eyes. They pushed her into a dirty water on the floor. This is where you belong, Vanessa said. You don't belong here with us. She sat there soaked and humiliated. Vanessa came close to her and whispered, "Tell anyone about this. We will make your parents pay. Don't even think about it." Tola sat on the cold floor, soaked in ink and dirty water, feeling more humiliated and alone than ever before. Vanessa and her friends laughed as they left. Immediately, the bell rang for the end of the school day. Tola couldn't bring herself to go home. She was too ashamed to face her parents, afraid they would see her ruined clothes and ask questions she wasn't ready to answer.